Well, welcome to Online Steps to Success. I am Allison Dalkey, and our goal here always is to help you dream big, work smart, change yourself, and change the world around you with your business. And we've been talking this month about time management and how do I better manage my time? How do I better manage my tasks? How do I get it all done? Right. And it's a lot. I don't like my hair like that. Let's just take it down. I'm not going to restart a video. Everything's fine. Today, we are talking about the truth that what matters most is what matters most. And we get this concept and this idea from what's called the Eisenhower matrix. Now, you may have seen this in Franklin Covey training. It's a grid, and I'm going to pull it up and show it to you. Let's look at it. So this is the Eisenhower matrix. It has 4 different quadrants inside here. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are working more in the second quadrant than any other one. The first quadrant is right here. These are things we need to do first. These are important things that are urgent. That means they're important and have a time-sensitive manner to them. These would be things like, let's say that you agreed to do a training for someone and it starts at 8 o'clock. Well, it is both important and urgent because it's time sensitive. It needs to be done, right? Let's say you get a call from school, you have a sick kiddo to pick up. Important and urgent, needs to be done in a timely manner. These are the things that usually get done because we're against a deadline. We know that they're important. And when I say important, anything in this top 2 quadrants, the do it first and the schedule it, which is the second quadrant, those important things contribute to the mission, the vision, the strategy that you have for your life, for building your business. Those are the things that really contribute to that. That's what makes them important. These are high priority goals that go in the first 2 quadrants. So important and urgent, that's quadrant number 1. These things typically get done. They're not something we need to spend a ton of time worrying about because they have a time deadline and they're important to us. We typically achieve them. Now, where we want to spend the most of our time is in quadrant number 2. Now, the problem with quadrant number 2 is it is a little bit bombarded by quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. We'll get there in a second. But quadrant number 2 are items that are important. They align with our mission, our values, our vision for our business, our strategies, high priority goals. So they're important, but they're not urgent, meaning they do not have a time deadline. Now, this is where a lot of business owners get into a little bit of trouble because you can easily put these things off. They're very important to your business. These are things like relationship building. These are things that take time and planning. They have a high impact and therefore need to have a high priority. The problem is we find ourselves spending a lot of time in quadrant 3. Quadrant 3 right here is where we see the word delegated. This is something that is not important, but that is urgent. Now, you may not be in a space where you can delegate a ton to other people. You may be a one-man show, and that's okay. But here are some examples of things you can delegate. Things that are not important, but they are urgent. Laundry getting done. It's not important. It's not driving you towards your mission, vision, strategy for your business or your life. It's not contributing in that way, but it is urgent. It has to be done, right? Same is true with the dishes being done, emails, phone calls. A lot of things like that are not necessarily important, but they are urgent, things that maybe have to be done. The problem is we're not delegating those things enough. We're not asking for enough help, or we're not just finding ways to delete them from our schedule altogether. Now, I'm not saying you can delete laundry or dishes or phone calls that come in, answer when your grandma calls, but and it is important when your grandma calls. I'm not saying that that's not important, but I'm saying in terms of your business, we want to make sure that we're not spending all of our time doing these not important tasks. Some of the things that I would say are not important, and actually I would put some of these, well, I was going to say something about social media. I know that you're using social media to run your business. I understand that. And I know that some of you are making profit from that, but it can also be something that becomes not important. And for some of you, not important and not urgent, and something that we need to delete. So we'll get there, but we want to eliminate and we want to spend as little time in quadrant 3 as possible. Urgent tasks, but not important. We don't want to spend all our time doing those. Quadrant 4 is where we find the most of time wasted. This is time wasters, time suckers. these are total waste of time. These are not important and they are not urgent. This is where we find gaming or social media scrolling or binge watching Netflix, or there's a lot of things that you can do that are not important and not urgent. And they are typically time suckers and time wasters. And they take away from quadrant number 2, those things that actually drive us toward our vision, our goals, the strategies that we're using to build our business. Now, why do we not spend enough time in quadrant 2? The biggest reason is because we are not planning for the tasks in quadrant number 2. We've talked a lot about planning and time management over the past few weeks. I want you to make sure, and this may even be helpful. I've known people who have made two different lists, 2 different to-do lists. One list of things that are important meaning they are driving me toward my vision, my big picture goals. They're helping me achieve something. They're strategy, like it's a strategy that's getting me somewhere I'm going. That's important. And my not important tasks that have to be done. And what happens is a lot of times your important tasks that are not urgent, they really need to be scheduled. There needs to be time and space in the calendar for you to do them without being interrupted by the things in quadrant 3, those not important but urgent things. An example of this would be that you sit down to work your business and you have important but not urgent things to do. You need to, you're looking at filling your calendar and you need to get it booked with however many parties. So you have a plan to sit down and message 20 people. It is important, but it's not urgent, right? It's important because it's getting you closer to your vision, your goals, but it's not urgent because there's not a timeline on it. You are a small business owner, and a lot of times your tasks will not have an urgent deadline. And that's where you're going to struggle, right? Because we've got to schedule the time to do those. So you sit down, you're going to contact 20 people, you're going to fill your calendar up for the spring. That's your plan. Important work. What happens sometimes is you open up Messenger or you get on your email or you get on social media to do that important work, and you are bombarded with urgent but not important work. Someone has asked you a question about an order. Someone has reached out and from your team that they have a question about something. It becomes urgent because there's a time deadline, but it's not important. It's not important because it's not driving you towards your vision, your goals. Now, hear me what I'm saying. I'm not saying that those things don't need to be taken care of. They do. But you're sitting down to do important work and you've scheduled time for it and you need to put it first. It's almost like you need some blinders on. You need to make sure you're not opening those apps or you're not looking at something where you're going to get distracted by something that is not important but seems urgent. Does that make sense? So I don't know why I'm asking, like you respond, I'm recording a video. Okay. Anyways, we want to spend as much time as we can in quadrant 2. Important work, driving us toward our goals, our vision, our strategy for our life and our business, but not urgent. That not urgent part is the tricky part. We want to make sure we're scheduling space and time for those things, and that we're spending less and less time in quadrant 3, and we're not spending time in quadrant 4. I'm not saying don't watch TV. I'm not saying don't read a book. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying endless time-sucking things. We're not spending time there. Okay. So I would love to see you take this idea and run with it this week. Even just looking at your tasks in a important and not important sort of list might be really helpful to you. Remember, the important things, because they're not urgent, are going to have to be scheduled. Don't worry so much about quadrant 1. Those things are going to get done. The important and the urgent, they'll get finished. But where we change our business, where we change our lives, is when we really start to focus on quadrant 2. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that it gives you a kind of a mindset shift. And even if nothing else, I hope you're looking at what you're doing all week long and saying to yourself, is this important? Or is this urgent? Important or not important? Important or not important? Stay in quadrant 2. We want to do the important things, driving us closer to our vision and the goals that we're reaching for in our life and our business. I hope you'll join us next week. We have one more video on time management and tips and tricks to help you get more done. We want to help you dream big, work smart, change yourself and the world around you. Hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you soon.